Can I see some hands? Who went far away from home for education when you were a kid? Wow, many people. Many people. When you were a kid, yes. I'm 11 years old, scared a little bit, far away from home, and it took some time to adapt, to learn, to stand by myself with the dormitory school. Dear Toastmasters of the evening, dear members, in the second year of boarding school, I had an illness and I had to lie down with my family for a month. It was actually very comfortable, you can imagine. When I'm back to school, then I couldn't cope with the situation. So I had a deep longing with the familiar things. To be honest, I missed my mother so much. And this or that, in many situations I start crying. And my mother was in 1 hour drive, and my grandmother was in Eskişehir, in the town, and I was very happy when my grandmother comes and visits me. And I remember on Wednesdays, I remember very vividly, so I was calling my mother, crying on the phone, and I was telling my mother, come and pick me up, that's enough. In the weekends, it was a little bit worse. So it was like a dramatic movie, a scene from a dramatic movie. It was dramatic because I was crying, my mother was crying, and at the same time in the city bus, the boys were making fun of me. So my only solution at that time was to suppress my feelings. I went home, and then some months later I decided to continue with the dormitory school. I went back, and this time I decided that I will not get myself hurt. So I promised myself I will never cry again. And believe me, I kept this promise for a very, very long time. My emotions and my feelings were neatly tucked away. Understand. I had good years in dormitory school. I had many friends, and I see now, when I went back, I see now my character actually formed in those years. My very much logic-driven personality was actually coming from there. Let's move to my adult years. So thanks to Alper, he also told, I'm married now for 18 years. With Mia van Houten, and we have 2 kids, Deniz and Mine, teenagers. And I'm working in healthcare industry for more than 20 years, helping doctors to make diagnosis earlier and easier. And
selling very good ultrasound.
Thank you. And I love my family, I love my job, and I'm trying my best. But at the same time, coming from these old years, I have this curiosity of finding out my emotions, going a little bit deep, get in touch with them, and express them. And I actually expressing them more in Toastmasters, since I figured out, I realized that crying is not that bad. It can happen. I still cannot cry very easily at this moment, but sometimes when I see a scene in a dramatic movie, I cry, and then I tell myself, hey, you have feelings and you have tears as well. It's still there. This learning period gave me a lot of challenge. It was actually worst of times, but also the best of times. Recently, I was in the office doing a presentation. I knew my slides, it was okay. But then I felt like I couldn't reach the hearts of the audience. So I said, I can do better about this. I should do better. And I talked about this to my friend Andreas. We were living in the same compound at that time. And he invited me to Toastmasters. And I remember the very first night I was in this room, I found my spot, and I listened to 3 meetings without much participation. And I was talking to myself, this place is great. Because people come here, tell about their stories, they open up themselves to everyone, and they are learning on top. They are learning as well. Excellent. After 2 meetings, I remember I was telling to a friend of mine, hey, this place is epic, actually. It's because a group of people are willingly giving all their attention to you for 5 minutes in this world we are living. What a privilege that is. So thank you very much for that. But this was the best of times, but also the worst of times, because I realized I have so much to learn. In this journey of going into my feelings, trying to get them out, trying to get in touch with them and display them, brought me to Toastmasters and now to Pathways. I know this is a long journey, and every day I know there are a lot to learn, every day there are a lot of things to do, and it's an amazing journey for me. So after some time I will look back to this speech and I would say it was the worst of times, but also it was the best of times. Mr. Toastmaster.